Good afternoon, and welcome to Leadership Talks. This is Season 2, Episode 2. This is a 20-minute Q&A that we do every Thursday at 12:30 Eastern Time with an industry leader. Before we start today, I do want to just acknowledge that this is sponsored by PSA. PSA is the world's largest systems integrated cooperative, made up of the most progressive security and audiovisual systems integrators in North America. Combined, PSA members boast over 400 branch locations, employ over 7,500 industry professionals, and are responsible for over $4.5 billion annually in security, fire, life safety, and pro audiovisual installations. PSA's mission is to empower systems integrators to become the most successful companies in the markets they serve. PSA brings this mission to life by partnering with industry-leading product and solution providers and delivering unparalleled education and training programs, including PSA Tech, which we'll, I think, Rick, hear a little bit more about this later. So with that started, I do want to introduce Rick. Today's leader, Ric McCullough, who is VP Sales and Customer Service for PSA. So welcome, Rick.
Thank you so much, Tim. I'm humbled and honored to be here.
So I start the same way every week. The program's called Leadership Talks. So of course I have to ask you, what is your leadership style?
Well, that's a good question. It should be relatively simple to answer, but like almost anything in life, there are a lot of different leadership styles. I would probably describe mine as democratic. Primarily, I'm a democratic leader, meaning that I want to get people involved. I want to be a consensus builder, especially when you have a team of people that have a lot of experience. I find that style to be the most motivational, and it helps you keep your team cohesive and together when you involve them in helping to make decisions that are strategic in nature or just day-to-day decisions. And I then think, Tim, secondarily, I would call my management or leadership style adaptive. You can't always just stick with one leadership style, because if you had a group of people that were brand new to the industry, you wouldn't gather them and say, well, let's make a consensus build on on our 5-year plan if they're brand new. There are some things that leaders have to make decisions on: set a vision, communicate the vision, and get people to to follow that vision. So I would, in summary, those 2 points, democratic, adaptive, that'd probably be the simplest description of my leadership style.
Okay, well put. I do want to just understand what you do at PSA. You're VP of Sales and Customer Service.
Yes.
Talk about that, and then tell us a little bit about Rick, maybe your background and things that you've experienced in your work life that could or have influenced your leadership approach.
Sure, I'd be happy to do that. So currently my role, I should say that I've been with PSA. This is my 6th year with PSA. I've been in the security industry for, I think this is my 34th year. It's a lot of years, which normally would equate to someone being old, but that's just a state of mind. So it's all a state of mind, Tim. So what I currently do at PSA, I head up sales and customer service for those that are not familiar with the PSA as a security cooperative. We're owned by security integration companies across North America, and primarily on a day-to-day basis, we sell a lot of boxes of security equipment. Some of those boxes may be labeled as services or software upgrades, software service agreements, and so on. But primarily, these are the sale of boxes. And by moving product sales from the integrator's needs to the vendors who fulfill those needs, the small amount of revenue that we make from that, we plow back into services that benefit our equity owners and members. And these are really powerful services. So my role in heading up sales and customer service is to make sure that the front end goes well, because we are the intermediary between what our integrators need in the way of products and the vendors that are going to fill those. And from a sales standpoint, it's kind of twofold. We're building project pricing. We're working with manufacturers and vendors to procure additional discounts on competitive bids or projects, or getting projects registered, and we're passing those savings on to the integrators. And then secondarily, from a business development standpoint, we're actively seeking new security integrators. So I have two long-term industry veterans that kind of split the country and the provinces in Canada, and they are always out calling on new integration companies to, if they haven't heard of PSA, to explain the benefits of our organization and try to bring them into the community. That's what I do on a day-to-day basis. As far as my background, early in my formative years in my life, all I wanted to be was a musician. I was a guitar player, traveled the country. After I graduated college as a musician, got to record with A&M Records, well, actually with my baby sister on an album. She was signed with A&M Records, got to meet some really cool people. As a result of that, all I wanted to be was a musician. But as you know, people know that tends to flatten out pretty quickly. There's not a lot of gray in the music industry. You either have made it or you're just several rungs, down the ladder. And so I left music as a full-time occupation and went to work for a manufacturer, an East Coast manufacturer of credentials and video management and access control software and hardware. And I was with them for 25 years, actually, which is a long time. Now, there were various iterations of that company, but so that's how I got involved in the security world. And I left for a short time period to work for Amazon, Amazon.com. We were opening up a brand new call center in Huntington, West Virginia. And I was part of that groundbreaking and the first formative year of that call center. And then many people are familiar with this, the security industry is a siren. It calls you back. And this opportunity came up with PSA Security, and I moved out here to Denver with my wife, and we've been here in the 6 years following that. I've never regretted a day of it.
Excellent. You mentioned several iterations of the company you were with for quite some time. What were these iterations? What were your experiences with these? Was it management change? Were there acquisitions or mergers? And is there anything there that you can kind of pinpoint that kind of developed your style, your management style?
Yeah, Tim, that's a great question. What was so cool about that whole experience is, as a young company, as a young startup, we grew pretty rapidly, and I got surrounded by a group of young people from different backgrounds. So we argued a lot, but we at the end of the day, we came to consensus on a lot of issues about, how to grow in this security industry. And those were formative years for a lot of us in our 20s or 30s. And, many of these people went on to other, pretty major careers within the security industry. These would be names that people would recognize. So I felt very fortunate to be a part of that. One of the things that we went through was 2003 to 2006. That company that I was with, we were sold 3 times in a 4-year time period to 3 different Fortune 500 companies. And you really learn a lot about yourself as a manager, or more importantly, as a leader, when you're going through that much change on a day-to-day basis, because you still have your business to run, and then you still have the responsibility as a leader to explain to your troops how we're going to keep our eye on the ball, but we're going to expand and we're going to move forward, and this is all going to be great. And then you become this manager or change agent. And that really helped me, I think, develop my skills in communicating with people and, helping them to grow and be comfortable with change.
Talking about growth, you mentioned a few minutes ago about I don't know if you use the term disagreements or arguments, but do you
Yes.
find that disagreements within the leadership of an organization is healthy or not, or distraction?
Good question. I guess you have to start with the right framework, right? I mean, I would never go into a room of strangers and then, try to have some kind of a passionate discussion, agreement or disagreement on styles or strategy. But when you're talking about a management team, what's really great about that is if you have a sense of trust, if that's the framework that you're operating under, and everyone is considered to be peers, I find passionate agreements and disagreements really helpful in bringing out what are people thinking and what direction do they really want to go and how do they lead and motivate others. I think that's one of, I don't know if I'd call it life's elixirs, but it's a key ingredient for a management team that's engaged in collectively growing an organization. Disagreement can really bring out, in some cases, the best of solutions. As long as, Tim, to me, at the end of the day, or when the conference room door opens, you have consensus and you spread that consensus to, the people that report to you.
Right. So I just came back from Vegas. I was at CES on the red eye last night, and just back.
Very sorry.
That's okay. It's all good. It was. My mind is reeling from what I saw, and based on what I saw, I truly believe that the landscape of our industry is changing and will continue to change at an incredibly rapid pace. How do you keep up with industry and trends? Still do your job, but also keeping up with technology and how you can adopt technology, and filter it down to your partner integrators and all that. So how do you stay on top of it and still do your job?
Boy, that's a really good question. Yeah, I have to tell you, I don't know that I would consider myself a subject matter expert on this topic or not. I definitely have feelings on it. I've written about it, and it perplexes me because, you come in to work, you drive to work every day, you're thinking about short-term goals and moving long-term plans, maybe another step or two along the path of progression, and there isn't a lot of time anymore in the day. Well, as an organization, we have had double-digit growth now for the past 5 years, and that kind of frenetic pace, I'm sure, like many companies in the security industry, it doesn't lend itself to taking time to be able to read periodicals or to check in with all your LinkedIn groups or to travel a lot especially when the majority of people that you're managing, your responsibilities, are all in one central point. So to me, this really becomes I really have to focus on this almost as a task and assign a certain amount of time to it. But here's what I find the greatest thing. As a security network, we are surrounded by, to me, some of the most brilliant minds in security that I've ever been exposed to. And I have learned so much just being a sponge around leaders of security integration companies throughout PSA. And if I combine that with periodicals that I try to read evenings or the weekends or on airplane flights, I also combine that with if you look at all the trade shows that are available to go to, whether that's PSA Tech, our flagship event every year, or you look at ISC or ASIS, even small regional shows. I think of shows like the Great Conversation that Aronson puts on every year. There are opportunities where you can network and learn a lot about what's going on in the industry. You have to combine that, though, with what's going on in the DIY world as well, because to me, a lot of what will drive future technology and technological growth in the security market will be things that people got used to having in their personal lives. If you just look at the way artificial intelligence is impacting the world and the security industry right now, the things that people got used to doing through mobile technology or simple AI interfaces, people then in their business world, they want and expect those same things. So you really have to be current. You really have to stay up on what are the latest trends. And those are some of the ways I find to be able to do that.
Right. Okay. You mentioned periodicals. Of course, the only one you read is SSN, right?
That is my top periodical, for sure. 100%.
That was a good answer. Okay.
Sorry.
So, I in talking to people about, management style and all of that, leadership style, a term that was used was soft skills. What is that? And how does that play?
I'm really passionate about soft skills and about people power. If you ever met me, I don't want to sound corny or make this into some kind of a Ric McCullough commercial, but I love working with people and meeting different kinds of people and getting the best out of people within an organization. We can't all always believe or follow the same things or work with the same styles. And I find that as a leader, what's really interesting is just pulling out, developing your own set of emotional intelligence skills, which to me, you've read a lot about. This started in the late 90s. It's made a resurgence recently even. These are skills that are not technical in nature. These are, as you refer to, Tim, as soft skills.
Right.
And I think that they are extremely important, especially in this age where we get disconnected, where a lot of our conversation revolves around email, or, things that are really, they're disconnected from emotional intelligence. When you have the opportunity to interact with people voice to voice, face to face, in a community setting, or when you're managing people, emotional intelligence skills to me just become paramount. They really do, because no matter what the age group you're working with or folks that are working for you, emotional intelligence skills can really make or break you as a leader or a manager. If you look at things just simply like self-awareness, are you aware that how you feel on any given day, what you say, how you act, affects everyone around you? You have to be aware of that. And a big self-awareness trait to me would be humility. I go into every day thinking about what can I learn today? Who can I learn from? And from this conversation, what can I take away from that? And that gets back to the whole people power thing. But, other emotional intelligence things that to me are really important. How do you motivate people? Do you have the right level of empathy? Have you developed the right social skill set? And then I look at things to me that are just really critical as traits that I try to aspire to and, don't always achieve by any means. But that would be, being trustworthy, being inspirational. Can you inspire the people that you lead to follow your vision? And then finally, being passionate. That to me is just, it's such a part of my everyday life and my being that I find it a necessary skill for any leader or manager. Be passionate about what you do. Love what you do. Embrace it every day. You have to have passion.
You answered that question with passion, so thank you. That was
Sure.
perfect. We are out of time, but before we finish, boom, I want to just I want you to talk a few minutes about tech. So again, this session has been sponsored by PSA. PSA Tech is their flagship event. Rick, take it from here.
Yeah, PSA Tech, TEC. Originally, I think training, education, conferencing. PSA Tech. When I first got introduced to PSA Tech, it was as someone that was not. I was not a person employed by PSA, so I didn't know what was this regional setting and this regional show. To me, PSA Tech is the best of all the best. It is the premier networking and educational event for anyone in the security industry, because I think we pull out the best of all the larger shows that can really be overwhelming, whether that be seeing all the industry leading manufacturers and vendors, products and service providers, and then being able to follow a track within PSA Tech. So no matter who you are or who you have working for you, there is a track of educational sessions that you can send your folks to, whether they're up and coming managers, whether they're leaders, whether they're technicians, whether they're interested in cybersecurity, whether they're interested in things that are visionary or currently stationary. There is something for everyone at PSA Tech. And it is our premier flagship event every year. This year it's being held the March 12th to the 16th in beautiful downtown Denver. We're right by the, we're in a thriving metropolis. There's a lot of activity. And this year we'll be bringing together the best of the physical security world, as well as the pro audio video world, cyber security as well. And really just groundbreaking sessions and educational offerings, whether you're looking for product certification or recertification. This is the event you do not want to miss. PSA Tech.
I feel the passion again. This slide says amplified. What do you mean amplified? What is why are you using that word?
That's a good question. Amplified. We bought this year. We bought a membership organization, I guess, called USAV, and this is a group that's primarily focuses in the Pro AV world. So amplified to them may mean, it's all from an audio standpoint. Can you amplify that sound? It always reminds me of that Verizon tech, can you hear me now? But maybe that same phrase can apply here as well under amplified. Can you hear me now? Do you understand the relevance or the importance of this particular topic? But I think amplified could mean something to any different group or persuasion of people. Can you amplify the results that you are experiencing? If you came to tech, would you walk away amplified with a better sense of purpose, with a better direction, with a better strategic goal for the next year because of your interactions with your peers? That's amplified to me.
Excellent. Well, Ric McCullough, thank you for your time today. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Tim.
Yeah, it's been fun and some good information, so I appreciate it. And thank you for letting us get to know you. Again, this was sponsored by PSA. Join us next week when we have Guy Morgante from Northland Controls as our leader. So for now, thanks for joining us, everybody. Have a great week, and we'll see you next week. Thank you.